Today we are going to be taking a look at the awesome Bugs 2 from MJX RC, and this was sent to me courtesy of GearBest.com. Let's get it into the air and check it out. Haven't been doing many unboxings lately, but I am gonna do like a little brief unboxing with this one because this is actually an excellent box to transport the Bugs 2 in. And a lot of thought went into the design of this box, and I appreciate that. So let's get inside. You're gonna notice you got your nice little carrying handle, and that definitely comes in handy as you're toting this around. You open it up and you're greeted by the styrofoam. And you pull it out. On top, you're gonna find your user manual. And a pretty good manual, maybe not the best, but good enough to give you an understanding of how everything works on the quad. Up here, you're gonna have a full set of spare props. You'll find your transmitter, your radio, your controller, whatever you wanna call it. Takes 4 AA batteries, has a screw, and it is a pretty nice transmitter. So let's flip it over and then lift off the top, and there you go, Mr. Bugs 2. Nice looking quad, we'll get to that in a minute. You're gonna see you have a charger, and it basically is a 2-cell balance plug, and it just plugs right in your wall. Has a red light when it's charging, then it turns kind of orange, then it turns green when it is ready to go. And I did notice that the one time I used this charger, it did get very warm, and manual says it's supposed to take about 5 hours to charge. Inside here you got some goodies. You got a screwdriver, you got some rubber O-rings, and this is a prop removal tool. You kind of stick it over these prop nut right here and then use it to turn it. And then here you have your USB card reader, micro SD card reader, MJX branded. Very nice that they include all that. And you got your battery here. This is an MJX branded. It is somewhat proprietary, but you can use a hobby grade charger because it does have a balance plug. XT30 plugs right into the quad, and it is an 1800 milliamp hour 25C LiPo battery, 2-cell. And I'm getting about 13-minute flights out of this guy, which is very, very good. And here you got your quad. So let's take a look at it. I'm gonna stand up here. Actually, my knees can't take the kneeling like they used to. So it does resemble a lot of the other Bugs quads, like the Bugs 3, which I've recently reviewed. It's got the eyes. This one is white, obviously. Has the camera right in front. Pretty wide angle lens. Video quality is a little bit disappointing. If you're expecting to get like DJI Phantom quality, you're not gonna get it out of this camera. I mean, the quality's better than toy grade, but it is not, 4K DJI awesomeness. But, it's a start in the right direction, I would say. No gimbal on this, so any movement you see out of the quad, you're gonna see in your video, and turning motions like this seem to give it a little bit of the rolling shutter effect. So be aware of that as you're flying this around. Also included, let's get this out before I forget it. Here's another gripe I have about things that use these micro SD cards. Why don't they put the little lip? Why doesn't it go in this way? So the little lip thing is facing out so you can stick your thumbnail in and pull the thing out easy. I don't know. Anyway, that's an 8 GB card, and it comes with the quad, so that's very nice. 8 gig for your 1080p video, and you're gonna be able to actually record quite a bit of video on that. So back to the video quality. I've had a few issues in the past few flights where the camera kind of went a little wonky with the colors and stuff like that. Initially I thought it was because the white balance was getting funky because of the white landing pad I have. And then it happened to me again last night when I was flying towards dusk, and didn't even use the landing pad that night. And it was kind of more in the middle of the flight that it happened. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. Not a huge deal. I'm not super concerned about it. This is more of like a hobbyist flyer anyway. You're not going to be able to do anything professional grade with it, but it is an extremely fun flyer. It has GPS, and you know, the angle of the camera is downward, tilted downward. It is wide angle. You get a little bit of barrel distortion in the lens in your video, but if you're smooth on the sticks and you're flying mostly forward, you get some pretty nice video, and it will stay on a calm night or a calm day. It'll stay up in the air where you put it, and you can get some good video that way, but it is going to be more for your hobbyist and not really professional quality video. And this quad comes in at under $200, so it is a little bit pricey, but again, not as pricey as a DJI Phantom, so you're not going to get that DJI Phantom quality video. And what else with this quad? I think that's about it until we get it in the air. And if I think of something else, I'll let you know. So I'm going to set this over here for right now, and I'm going to kind of clean up. So I'm going to cut to everything cleaned up. Okay, so here we are on our landing pad here, and you got your transmitter. Let's go over that real quick before we get it in the air. Upper left here, that's going to be your auto launch and auto land button. The red button with the lock is your unlocking of the motors, and all these buttons are labeled, which is very nice. You got your return to home button here. You just push that. It's gonna return to home and come down, and every time it's come down for me, it's been basically within 3 steps of where it took off from. We'll test that today. We'll show it to you, see how it does. This last button over here is your camera button. You see a little camera, and a short press is going to take a photo for you, and a longer press is going to start your video, and you will get either a still camera icon or a video camera icon in your transmitter screen, the LCD screen here. This does have telemetry, so it's going to give you height and distance in meters, I believe. And this is going to be your headless mode button. So it's our A and B switch. A is normal flying, B is going to put it in the headless mode. And then over here, A and B switch again. A is going to be just altitude hold, air pressure hold, so it'll hold its height, but it is not GPS locked, so it will drift with the wind or anything like that. Flip it over to the B side, and it's got the little satellite symbol, and that's going to be your GPS lock. So you can sit up, put it up in the air, and it's going to sit where you put it. And that's about it. 4 AA batteries. I think I might have already said that. And speaking of batteries, let's get to this one. And I mentioned earlier, you can charge this with a balanced charger, so your hobby grade charger will charge this, and that's very nice. That's how I've charged it every time except for one. So the battery is going to go, actually before I do that, you got to kind of stuff this, and they give you room to do this. You kind of got to stuff the balance lead in the back there. So actually before I plug that in, I'm going to turn the transmitter on, and then let's get this guy in here. A little bit finicky with the battery, and there you go, DDD. And then you get the beep from the transmitter, beep here. Then we're going to wait for a beep on our transmitter over here. Let us know that we're ready for calibration. There you go, 2 beeps, ready for calibration. And the way to do this is you pick it up, and you got these little kind of red, well, more like orange and greenish buttons. So you're going to spin it horizontally like this until you get green lights underneath. And so we got green lights now. So we're going to turn it up like this and then spin it vertically until we get either red and green in the back, or if you get it like this, then you got to wait till it links up with your satellites. And I think we'll get another beep here. This happened to me a few times, so bear with me while this does this. Usually it links right up, but we shall see how long this takes. Beautiful day. This is actually the 3rd time I've done this review. I've had some issues. Okay, so now I think we're good. We got 10 satellites. Let me just check this before we go up. Yep, you got red in the front and green in the back. That's what you want. You got satellite lock. Could always take it off without satellites if you wanted to. So what I'm gonna do right now is unlock the motors with the red button. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna start my video. And I'm not gonna bother with any pictures today. I don't know if you can see the recording, the video camera icon. That will flash while you're recording. But I'm not gonna bother with the pictures today. Red button's gonna start your motors. And this button here on the bumper is gonna take it up in the air. Auto launch, and then it's gonna go up in the air. And pretty stable, looks pretty stable. I'm gonna bring it up a little bit myself. Find that the GPS gets a little wonky if it's close to the ground. So you wanna pick it up and let it sit. And as you can see, it's just sitting there, hands off, slightly moving around a little bit, but pretty good, right? So if you notice that you're getting kind of like a toilet bowl effect, you're gonna wanna land it and recalibrate probably. And if you fly this around kind of fast, it will get a little confused, but I find that if you just let it sit and recover, it'll recover itself. So we're getting a little bobbing here. We got a little bit of a breeze coming this way, nothing major. And let's do a little punch out here while we got full battery. So not amazing punch out on these brushless motors, but it's not really an FPV racer or anything like that. So you wouldn't expect it to have amazing punch out. But the motors are very powerful. I can't remember the exact KV on them. I don't really get too caught up in KV specs and all that other stuff. I get confused by letters and numbers easily, so we're gonna take it out and just fly it around the park here. And hopefully I'm not having any issues with the camera, the colors. This is just the C version. There is a W version that has like a Wi-Fi app, and you can connect your smart device and then you can monitor whatever it is you're shooting. But this is just the camera version. So a little bit tough to tell what you're shooting. So we're gonna fly it around and I'm gonna come back towards me. Flying around the park. Should be headed right towards me. A little bit difficult to tell the orientation of the camera. And I like the way this one flies. I'm a big fan of this quad. Some of you may be a little bit disappointed with, say, the camera quality, but I'm a big fan of this one. I'm just gonna let it sit there for a minute, and it is pretty stable. I've had other flights where I've had some real nice stable video when I just let it sit there like this. A little bit of a wind today, nothing too major, but it might be enough to kind of blow it around so it's not super stable video. We'll see. The only thing with the camera, with just the C version, is you don't know exactly what you're getting until you come back and put it in your computer. So be aware of that. From other demos that I've seen of the Wi-Fi version, the Wi-Fi cuts out here and there, and basically outside of 100 meters, it's kind of not likely that you're going to get the Wi-Fi reception anyway. So I'm not exactly sure the price of the Wi-Fi one. This one comes in at just under 200. So depending on what you need, you may just, the camera version, plain old camera version might be good for you. But it would be nice to have like the Wi-Fi app to just kind of get an idea of what you are shooting. But I just like to fly this one. It flies super, super nice. And gets to be pretty fast too. Let's full forward stick here. So I got the stick going, full forward. The motors sound like they're moving. And we're flying around the park. I tried to fly this at a different location because I've done the last couple reviews here, But as I started talking to you guys earlier, I had a bunch of people stop and start talking to me in the middle of my review in this other park. So rather than bore you guys with my conversations with the people, I decided to just start over again. So, and I'm pretty, this park's been pretty good to me. You get your occasional people going on the jungle gym and all that stuff, but not too many people frequent this park, and I really like this park. It's a nice location. I like flying this quad around a lot. Flies super, super nice. And shout out to Sylvester, who I met yesterday in Roscoe Conklin Park. Wasn't actually shooting my review video when I was talking to him. I was just flying this, trying to get a feel for it. And he actually recognized me from the YouTube channel, which was kind of wild for me. Originally from the Utica area, but apparently lives in Florida now. Wants to get into drones and quadcopters. So shout out to you, Sylvester. And then I also met Dominic earlier today. Dominic had a DJI Mavic. He was flying around, same park, Roscoe Conklin Park. He's got a cool little Instagram. Maybe get together with him and fly. But back to our MJX Bugs 2. And you get great range on this. So I'm gonna do a kind of high-speed pass by me here. And here we come. And I'm gonna keep sending it out. I'm gonna stop it right there. And according to this, I'm about 70 meters out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it this way and head out a little farther from myself. Maybe up a little bit too. And I'm gonna leave it right there. According to my transmitter, it is 114 meters away. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but I am gonna hit the return to home button here. So you hit your return to home button and you get a little symbol in your transmitter. And I find that this, depending on what height you're at, it'll climb up and then come back to you, but it looks like I was at a high enough altitude already because I don't think it climbed that time. So let's see how close we get to our landing pad here. And there it is right above me. Got my landing pad here. And I think you can move this. Let's see if you can. Some people have said you get a little bit of, yeah, it seems to be moving a little bit. I can move it a little bit here, so if it's gonna hit something on the way down or whatever, you can avoid it. But look at that. Look at this. Huh. Pretty close, pretty darn close. So I should still be recording. Still got our button here. Let's do another takeoff. Unlock the motors and auto takeoff. And let's go up. So I am just a huge fan of this guy. If you're in the market for something fun and it's got a camera, but you don't expect to get like super great video out of it, this one's probably for you. This one will fly in the wind. It's got some nice powerful motors. It's got the GPS. I don't recommend you start with brushless quads if you're just starting out, but if you were just starting out, this one's not too bad because you can fly this in GPS mode. And you know, let me bring it in a little closer actually, show you. So bringing it in here, and so I can just let it sit here, take my hands off the sticks, and it's basically gonna sit where I put it. It's bobbling around a little bit. We got some wind coming from this direction, so wind's gonna push it around a little bit, but it's basically gonna hold its position. So, huge fan of that guy, the MJX Bugs 2. And I also like the Bugs 3, which actually came out before the Bugs 2, so that's kind of a little bit confusing. But hey, So I'm gonna bring it up in the air. And then they tell you you can control this up to 1 kilometer away. But I'm not gonna test that. You would definitely lose sight of it well before you reached 1 kilometer. So I guess it's nice to know that you got some range on this one, but legally you are not allowed to fly this out of your line of sight. So keep that in mind as you're flying these around, this quad or any other quad. And let's bring it full forward stick going this way, heading towards the cornfields. And I'm going to turn it back around. See if we can get a nice shot of the pavilion. It's a reoccurring theme in all these review videos is shooting this pavilion. So let's bring it down a little bit. Bring it down past the pavilion here, and I'm going to kind of loop around. Looks like it's a little bit windy up there. I'm getting some wind down here. So let's bring it down and come around. And let's turn it toward the pavilion. And let's see. It's kind of tough to do any sort of cinematic movement when you can't really see a screen or whatever. But I definitely like this quad. It is a very nice flyer and has good control, has good speed, has good endurance. It is a pretty good overall, all-around quad. Okay, so when you get down to 2 bars on your, you do have some telemetry with your battery here on your quad. So when you get down to 2 bars, you're gonna get that beeping. And I don't like to mess around with these brushless ones, especially with these giant batteries. So I always land them when I start getting the warning here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit the return to home again. And let's see how well we do this time. Looks like it's climbing slightly. And we're coming towards our landing pad. You will get red flashing LEDs in the back and solid red in the front when your battery's about done. So when you hit the return to home, it's gonna hover above the point where it's gonna land for a moment. Make sure it's safe for it, because you have the opportunity to kind of control it a little bit with your, see how I can control this with my stick. Let's see if we can get it right on the, oh yeah. So I was controlling that a little bit there with the stick, but it was pretty close otherwise. And what I'm gonna do now is stop my video before I forget to do that. That would have been nice. So not exactly sure of the flight time of this particular flight. I'm gonna unplug this battery. It's always a safe thing to do. And then when you lose connection, it's gonna beep like that. Never tested the fail-safe on this, so be careful of that, but it has been a very reliable quad for me otherwise. Battery is just maybe slightly warm. Not even worth mentioning, really. So there you have it. MJX Bugs 2 GPS, low-cost GPS brushless. Let's test these motors. These motors are like, kind of have like a plastic coating instead of like a metal, and they don't even feel warm at all. So you always wanna, if you're flying a brushless one like this, and even the brushed ones, if you touch them after a flight and they're super, super hot, like you can't even keep your hands on them, that means your motor's probably gonna go. Not a huge issue if you're flying like a little brush quad, but if you got a brushless one like this and you're kind of whipping it through the field and your motor goes, it could be trouble. So you might wanna monitor that as you're flying these. So there you go. MJX Bugs 2, sent to me courtesy of gearbest.com. Gonna leave you guys with some flying, a different flight of this one. And if you're interested, I'll definitely have the link in the description. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.